Two software engineers start their careers at the same company on the same day. They have identical education, similar intelligence, and the same opportunities. Fast forward 5 years, and one of them is now a senior architect earning 6 figures and leading major projects, while the other is still stuck in the same entry-level position, constantly busy but never seeming to make real progress. What made the difference? The successful engineer discovered something that 99% of knowledge workers never master: the ability to work deeply. Today, I'm going to share the revolutionary insights from Cal Newport's Deep Work that can transform your career and give you an unfair advantage in our distracted world. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete roadmap to master the most valuable skill of the 21st century. But first, if you're serious about upgrading your productivity and focus, hit that subscribe button and let's dive into the game-changing world of deep work. Chapter 1. The Deep Work Revolution. In our hyper-connected age, we're facing a productivity paradox. We have more tools, more information, and more ways to communicate than ever before, yet most professionals feel less productive and more scattered than previous generations. Cal Newport argues that this isn't a coincidence. It's the inevitable result of abandoning deep work for what he calls shallow work. Deep work is defined as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. These efforts create new value, improve your skill, and are hard to replicate. Think of a programmer writing complex code, a writer crafting a novel, or a consultant developing a comprehensive strategy. This is work that requires your full cognitive resources and produces high-value output. The opposite is shallow work. Tasks that are logistical in nature, often performed while distracted, and don't create much new value in the world. These are activities like answering emails, attending unnecessary meetings, or engaging in social media for professional purposes. While shallow work has its place, the problem is that it has completely taken over most professionals' days. Newport presents compelling evidence that our economy is rewarding deep work more than ever, while simultaneously making it harder to achieve. This creates what he calls the deep work hypothesis. The ability to focus without distraction on a cognitively demanding task is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. At the exact same time, it is becoming increasingly rare in practice. 3 groups of people will thrive in the new economy. First are the high-skilled workers who can work creatively with intelligent machines and technology. Second are the superstars in their field who can work remotely and produce at an elite level. Third are those with access to capital who can leverage new technologies for maximum impact. What all these groups have in common is their ability to master 2 core skills: the ability to quickly learn hard things and the ability to produce at an elite level in terms of both quality and speed. Both of these abilities depend entirely on your capacity for deep work. The math is simple. If you can't learn quickly, you can't master the increasingly sophisticated systems that define our economy. If you can't produce at an elite level, you'll struggle to distinguish your output from that of automated systems or offshore workers. Chapter 2. Why deep work is becoming extinct. Before we dive into how to cultivate deep work, we need to understand why it's disappearing from modern workplaces. Newport identifies several culprits that have created what he calls a distracted workplace culture. The first is the principle of least resistance. In the absence of clear feedback on what activities truly drive results, we gravitate toward behaviors that are easiest in the moment. It's easier to respond to emails than to think deeply about a complex problem. It's easier to attend a meeting than to work in isolation on challenging tasks. This principle explains why so many professionals spend their days in reactive mode, constantly responding to the latest urgent request, rather than proactively working on their most important projects. The second factor is the rise of what Newport calls busyness as a proxy for productivity. In knowledge work, it's often difficult to measure direct output. Unlike a factory worker who produces a specific number of widgets per hour, knowledge workers create value through thinking, analyzing, and problem-solving. Because these activities are hard to measure, many organizations and individuals fall into the trap of equating visible activity with productivity. Being constantly busy, always responding to messages, and attending numerous meetings becomes a way to demonstrate value, even when these activities don't actually produce meaningful results. The third factor is the any benefit approach to technology adoption. Most professionals adopt new communication tools and social media platforms because they offer some benefit, without carefully considering the full cost. Yes, Slack might make some communications more efficient, but it also creates an expectation of constant availability and fragments your attention throughout the day. Yes, LinkedIn might help you network, but it also becomes another source of distraction and shallow engagement. The problem isn't that these tools are inherently bad, but rather that we adopt them without thoughtful consideration of their true impact on our ability to do deep work. Finally, there's the open office movement and the cultural shift toward constant collaboration. While collaboration certainly has its place, the pendulum has swung too far toward interruption-driven work environments. When you're constantly available for impromptu conversations and meetings, it becomes nearly impossible to achieve the sustained focus necessary for deep work. The result is a workplace culture that rewards reactive behavior and punishes the kind of sustained concentration that produces breakthrough results. Chapter 3. The 4 philosophies of deep work. Now that we understand why deep work is both valuable and rare, let's explore how to actually implement it. Newport identifies 4 different philosophies for integrating deep work into your professional life, and choosing the right approach is crucial for success. The monastic philosophy involves a radical elimination or minimization of shallow obligations. Practitioners of this philosophy isolate themselves for extended periods, sometimes weeks or months, to focus exclusively on deep work. This approach works best for people who have a clear, high-value professional goal and can afford to disconnect from the immediate demands of organizational life. Think of authors who disappear to write novels, or researchers who take sabbaticals to work on groundbreaking studies. The bimodal philosophy divides your time into clearly defined periods, some dedicated exclusively to deep work and others open to everything else. The key distinction from the monastic approach is that bimodal practitioners alternate between modes rather than permanently choosing one. A typical implementation might involve dedicating certain days of the week or certain seasons of the year to deep work while remaining fully available during other periods. This approach works well for professionals who need to maintain regular collaboration and communication, but also produce work that requires sustained concentration. Many academics follow this philosophy, dedicating some days to teaching and administrative duties, while reserving other days exclusively for research and writing. The rhythmic philosophy transforms deep work into a regular habit by establishing a rhythm of consistent daily practice. Rather than waiting for inspiration or clearing your calendar for extended periods, you commit to working deeply at the same time every day. This might mean dedicating the first 2 hours of each morning to your most important project, or blocking out the same afternoon slot for concentrated work. The rhythmic approach is often the most practical for busy professionals because it doesn't require dramatic schedule changes or extended periods of unavailability. It simply requires discipline to protect your chosen deep work time and use it effectively. The journalistic philosophy involves switching into deep work mode whenever you have available time, even if it's just for 30 minutes between meetings. This approach requires the ability to quickly transition into a state of deep concentration, which is a skill that develops with practice. Most people starting their deep work journey should avoid this philosophy because it's the most difficult to execute effectively. However, for experienced practitioners who have developed strong focus muscles, it can be incredibly efficient because it maximizes the use of small pockets of available time. Chapter 4. The Practical Rules of Deep Work. Understanding the philosophy is just the beginning. Success requires implementing specific rules and systems. Newport's first rule is to work deeply, which means creating rituals and routines that support sustained focus. Your ritual should address where you'll work, how long you'll work, and how you'll work during your deep work sessions. The location should be dedicated specifically to deep work when possible, or at minimum, be a place where you can minimize distractions. The timing should be specific and consistent. Vague intentions like, "I'll work deeply when I have time," rarely succeed. The methodology should include rules about internet usage, communication tools, and how you'll measure progress during your deep work session. The second rule is to embrace boredom, which might sound counterintuitive but is essential for developing focus. In our connected age, we've trained our brains to expect constant stimulation. Every moment of boredom becomes an opportunity to check our phones, browse social media, or consume some form of entertainment. This constant stimulation makes it incredibly difficult to concentrate when we need to. Newport suggests scheduling when you'll use the internet rather than scheduling breaks from it. Plan specific times for checking email, browsing social media, or consuming online content, and stick to those times. When you're not in a scheduled internet block, resist the urge to seek stimulation, even if you feel bored or stuck on a problem. The third rule is to quit social media, or more precisely, to approach technology tools like a craftsman approaches his tools. A craftsman doesn't adopt every new tool that might provide some benefit. He carefully considers whether each tool's benefits substantially outweigh its costs and align with his core objectives. Apply this same thoughtful analysis to your digital tools. For each social media platform or communication app you use, honestly assess whether it's providing substantial benefits that align with your professional and personal goals, or whether it's simply a source of easy entertainment that fragments your attention. The fourth rule is to drain the shallows by systematically reducing the amount of shallow work in your schedule. Start by quantifying how you spend your time. Literally schedule every minute of your day in blocks, assigning activities to each block. This isn't about rigid scheduling, but rather about being intentional with your time and attention. For each activity on your schedule, ask yourself how long it would take to train a smart college graduate to do this task. If the answer is not very long, you've identified shallow work that might be eliminated, automated, or batched together. Focus your premium time and attention on the activities that require your unique skills and experience. Implement what Newport calls the any-benefit approach to email and communication. Before sending any email, think through the entire process you're initiating and try to advance the project as much as possible in your initial message. Instead of sending a message that just moves the conversation forward one small step, invest more time up front to provide all necessary context and information. This reduces the total number of messages required and minimizes the ongoing attention residue that comes from having multiple open communication loops. Chapter 5. Building your deep work practice. Now let's talk about how to actually implement these concepts in your daily life. Start small and build gradually. Attempting to immediately work deeply for 4 hours a day is likely to result in frustration and failure. Begin with 45-minute to 1-hour sessions of focused work and gradually extend the duration as your concentration improves. Choose your most important project, the one that would have the greatest impact on your career or business if you made significant progress, and dedicate your deep work sessions exclusively to this project. Resist the temptation to switch between different tasks during your deep work time. Create environmental cues that signal to your brain that it's time for deep work. This might mean working in a specific location, playing particular background music, or following a pre-work ritual like making coffee or reviewing your goals. These cues help your mind transition more quickly into a focused state and make it easier to resist distractions. Measure your deep work sessions, not just by time spent, but by meaningful output produced. Track pages written, problems solved, or concepts mastered, rather than simply hours logged. Finally, protect your deep work time as fiercely as you would protect any other important appointment. Don't allow meetings to be scheduled during your designated deep work hours, and don't make exceptions for non-urgent requests. Remember that the goal isn't to eliminate all shallow work from your life. It's to ensure that your most cognitively demanding and valuable work gets your best attention during your peak hours. In our distracted world, the ability to focus deeply on cognitively demanding tasks is becoming both increasingly valuable and increasingly rare. This creates an unprecedented opportunity for those who master deep work to gain a significant competitive advantage. The principles we've covered today: choosing the right philosophy for your situation, building supporting rituals, embracing boredom, being selective with technology, and systematically reducing shallow work, aren't just productivity tips. They're the foundation for building a career and life of meaning, impact, and satisfaction. The professionals who thrive in the coming decades won't be those who are most connected or most responsive to every digital notification. They'll be those who can consistently produce valuable work by bringing their full cognitive capabilities to bear on important problems. Deep work isn't just about getting more done. It's about doing work that matters, work that makes a difference, and work that can't be easily replicated or automated. If this video has inspired you to take control of your attention and build a deep work practice, I want to hear about your journey in the comments below. Share which philosophy you're planning to try, or tell us about a time when you experienced the satisfaction of deep, focused work. And if you found this summary valuable, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest content on productivity, focus, and professional development. Your future self will thank you for taking this first step toward mastering the most important skill of our time. Until next time, go deep, stay focused, and create something remarkable.